watching Politics Unscripted. The segment of the show right now is the Editor's Choice. This is where we discuss some of the stories making headlines in your newspapers that you presumably have gone to buy this morning or even reading them online. And to help me do this is City Press editor, that's Timothy Molobi, and EWN senior reporter Babalo Ndenzo. Gentlemen, thank you very much for making the time to talk to us. I'm going to start off this conversation with a discussion I had at the start of this show at 3 o'clock. I spoke to Herman Mashaba, who gave us a letter. He's basically given us a letter stating that the party's chairperson in KZN, Dr. Makosi Khoza, basically resigned of her own free will. Your thoughts on this, Bratim, if I could start with you, the drama around Action SA. What are your thoughts?
Thanks, Tony, and evening to the viewers. For me, obviously, there's no smoke without fire. It's been coming. I don't buy that story that she was not pushed and then she resigned out of her own free will. Look at the timing and what has been happening. I saw in the Sunday World today where she says she won't be pushed around. Obviously, there have been issues within the party. And it's not surprising that they decided to part ways. Always they say amicably, but I don't think that. I don't think so. I think she was just, maybe I can use the word. Yeah. It was time for them to go separate ways. But I don't think it was amicably. If she says to look after her family interest, the timing thereof is surprising. Why now? Why after all this that has been happening behind the scenes?
Well, Babalo, just to be clear, Dr. Khoza is still very much part of Action SA. What clearly has happened here is that her position as chairperson of KZN simply no longer belongs to her now, as someone else has been appointed in that position. But also very interesting, speaking to Mr. Mashaba, is that he says he has filed a complaint with the party's disciplinary committee, and he's asking South Africans to give them just a little bit of time. It won't take longer than what we've seen in other parties' disciplinary matters, but in essence, Dr. Khoza is going to face some disciplinary hearing of sorts within the party. I suppose the question then becomes, why would Action SA be surprised by the actions of Dr. Makosi Khoza, who has been described even by political analysts who I spoke to thereafter, after Mashaba, who said that, look, she's always been a controversial figure.
Yes, indeed. She's always been, she has a strong character. And, she's always been outspoken, even in previous parties that she's been a member of. And maybe this is just a formality by Herman Mashaba, this probe that they're going to be, this disciplinary process that they're going to be embarking on, with maybe the outcome, maybe Herman Mashaba already knows what the outcome will be, and maybe just not relinquishing that KZN leadership position, maybe to get rid of her from the party completely. So who knows what, will happen, but we do know that, she won't take anything sitting down. As Bratim noted, her comments now in the media this weekend, as well as, and I was also listening to Herman Mashaba on your show earlier, and how he's saying that they're dealing with facts now and not fiction. So we'll also have to see what these facts he's referring to are when it comes to this probe or this process that they're going to be embarking on. But I don't see her, if they are going to be taking it, even a step further than her stepping down, that, she might be continue being a member of Action SA. And we know that the issues, related to her and Action SA leadership were also, simmering at the time of the local government elections just before November. So, I mean, who knows how it will end, but I don't see it, ending in any way that will be in favor of Makosi Khoza.
Yeah. But Tim, let's touch on a story that we have also been running here on the channel, but it's also contained in the front page of the story, or rather the paper that you belong to. That's the City Press, and the headline goes, "Dirty Money Behind Morty Kidnappings." And this is quite a story, because the family, if I'm correct, they are coming out for the first time, one, to deny that they are interdicting the police from talking to the boys, but that also confirming that they are now indeed in Dubai. Your thoughts on how this whole story has played out so far?
Two things caught my attention. Again, the timing. The story broke last week on another channel that they've interdicted the family. And the police spokesperson, Robert Newzroom, confirmed on record that there was an interdict that was sought, which was granted ex parte. Now, a week later, the family comes out to say they never interdicted the family. Why didn't they deny it at first when it broke last week, Sunday? And the question that I had earlier in my mind was that, I'm not in the legal fraternity, nor a legal expert, but for me, a judge who would give an interdict in a case like this, a South African, when we're looking for answers, I mean, the nation, we were up in arms saying 5 boys were kidnapped. Now we need answers, and then you deny law enforcement agency to get to the bottom of this matter. That was another matter. But going back to your question, Chloe, from the story that we wrote, like you say, it's a work of fiction. I think the producer should be ready. This is Hollywood stuff. You look at the money, how we got to the bottom of the story. Obviously speaking to people who were involved in trying to crack the story. One other interesting aspect is the allegations that the family tried to download all information from their gadget to their cell phones. Hence, now the police have gone to network agencies to try and retrieve all the recordings or the records prior and after the boys were returned to the families. But I think there's still going to be more about the dealings of the family, what really went down, who is involved, and the question is why. Why now are they saying they've moved to Dubai, and then for fear of their life, the boys are leaving, they are scared. They should have been here to answer for all what happened, because as South Africans, especially now that the sketch of kidnapping has spiraled out of control, we need to get to the bottom of this matter. And then I think law enforcement agencies are at the right time, are the right forum to deal with this matter. But if you deny them the opportunity to get to the bottom, then where are we going as a country?
Tim, if I could just stay with you for just a few more seconds, because this is your story as carried by the City Press. I'm quite intrigued by the use of your words, saying that it's a work of fiction. A little earlier in the week, I read an article where someone was quoted as saying, if this is staged, then the family might have some serious answers to respond to law enforcement about. And I read with interest the subheadline in your newspaper where you say investigations into the abduction of these brothers have revealed a tangled web of criminal links, money laundering, and murder. Does this point to what I have just said, that if this was staged, what would have been the reasons? And importantly, who's to be held responsible if it was staged?
I think stage, we're taking it too far. But the family was at the center of the kidnapping, or allegedly so. From what we have gathered is that the family was involved. There was money which was transferred through this system, Hawal, but it didn't reach its destination. And one of the family members was involved. And then the reason why the boys were kidnapped was that they wanted the uncle, who we didn't mention in the name in the story. We just withheld his name. He was in the UK at the time. So they kidnapped the boy so that he could come here and release the money that was transferred, which never reached its final destination. Indeed, he did come to the country, but what's surprising is that once he got to the country, he cut all ties with everyone who was involved in the matter, to say he was going to deal with the matter personally. He also told the police that they should not get involved. From what we have gathered so far, that he will deal with it. That's why I'm saying, there's more to these things, and let's let the police to do their job and get to the bottom of this matter.
Very, very interesting story. Babalo, let's talk politics, stuff that you and I are much more familiar with. The front pages of the Sunday World, the Sunday Times, they carry a picture and the other a massive headline. Sisulu dares Ramaphosa. Pressure builds to X Sisulu. I've just spoken to the president of the ANC Women's League, who won't be drawn on the issue of whether or not Sisulu should be axed. And she says the prerogative to appoint ministers is that of the president, and it is left to him to decide. Your thoughts?
Look, Tolly, it seems like there's really no end in sight, in this ongoing saga of the internal public spat. Look, I'm not sure if it's a battle of ideas or personalities, but what has happened, though, as far as in Parliament, there has been there will be a complaint sent to the Ethics Committee, to lay a complaint about the minister's utterances and her remarks about, the rule of law and the Constitution and, African judges, and whether this really did, go against that oath of office she took, to really, abide by the Constitution. So what the president decides, it could go either way. He could maybe let it just maybe go on for a few months and not take any action. But it will really depend on what happens in other forums and in other structures. I know Kasek has spoken up, quite, strongly against the minister, that she should be fired. But also, one can't really expect the president to be just listening to every single one, all and sundry, and then taking a decision against the minister. He also has to play, the long game and play his cards right. But she's clearly not backing down. Instead, she's doubling down on the need to debate these matters. But what the president does is really what should be really the next story now that we should be focusing on, and not another opinion piece or another rebuttal about or about that original piece that she wrote. So we just have to watch that very closely, what the president does, and, really put it to him when we do get a chance to engage the president. But so far, I don't see him, reacting, hastily on the matter.
Well, it's going to be left to that all-important doorstop. Pratim, a quick bite on this issue facing the tourism minister. There are those who carry the view and suggestions that the president's inner circle are saying that let her, quote-unquote, simmer in cabinet in order to avoid her playing the victim card. Your quick comments.
It's a tough one. What I would like to see happening is for the president to come out. We've had the minister in the presidency, Mr. Gunguvele, speaking on the matter, but like Babalo said, we need to hear from the president, because I saw the Sunday World saying Sisulu dares the president. We need to know what his thinking is, because now it looks like the gloves are off. I saw her response to Lamola's letter today again in the IOL to say he should have contacted her personally as colleagues from cabinet, but she penned her own opinion. It was a public opinion, and then I think the matter has been dealt thoroughly in the public. What we need now is to move forward and see what happens going forward.
Timothy Molobi, thank you very much for your time and contribution here. He is the City Press editor. We also have EWN senior reporter Babalo Ndenzo also joining us for this important conversation. Thank you both to my colleagues there.